maintenance facility is set to be built by the United States Navy. The U.S. Embassy in Manila says this has been approved by the Philippine government.
Freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, or as Filipinos call it, the West Philippine Sea, isn't just policy talk in Manila. It's personal, it's constant, and it's taken seriously. For decades, countries around the world have tested American resolve. The question has always been the same. Will the United States really stand by its allies when pressure rises? Right now, the answer coming out of Washington is clear. The U.S. says it's rebuilding deterrence, restoring what it calls the warrior ethos, and standing shoulder to shoulder with its partners, especially here in Southeast Asia. And buried inside a routine briefing was a line that didn't make a lot of noise at first. The United States will fund and build 2 boat repair facilities in western Palawan. Sounds simple, right? Don't be fooled, because here's the part that should make you pause. What happens when repair docks pop up just a few sailing hours from one of the most contested shoals in Asia? This week, the U.S. confirmed it will construct maintenance hubs at Naval Detachment Oyster Bay and in Quezon Town, Palawan. On paper, they're modest. No warships, no missile systems, no dramatic new base, just repair yards. But in maritime disputes, the smartest moves rarely look dramatic. For years, every Philippine resupply mission to Second Thomas Shoal has felt like rolling the dice. Wooden supply boats pushing through tension, Coast Guard vessels facing radio warnings, water cannons blasting across decks. We've all seen the footage, Filipino sailors gripping railings as waves and spray hit hard. Journalists crouched low. And there in the background, the grounded World War II-era ship, the BRP Sierra Madre, rusting but unyielding. Now imagine a different scenario. Instead of limping hundreds of miles back to a major port after a cracked hull or engine failure, Philippine vessels can fix the problem closer to the fight. Faster turnaround, less downtime, more presence. That changes everything. Palawan isn't just a postcard island with turquoise water and sandy beaches. It's the gateway to the Philippines' western exclusive economic zone. From there, you're within reach of the Spratlys, within operational range of Second Thomas Shoal, inside the same waters where confrontations in 2023 and 2024 escalated. Ramming incidents, blocked resupply runs, Coast Guard standoffs that felt one miscalculation away from something worse. That's why these facilities matter. They're not about launching attacks, they're about endurance. And endurance is the real currency in the South China Sea. If you've followed this region long enough, you've seen the pattern. Apply pressure, delay movements, harass missions, make every trip exhausting. Don't fire missiles, just wear the other side down. Make presence expensive, make maintenance a nightmare. Slow coercion, quiet pressure. So when Manila adapts, when it builds resilience instead of retreating, that's significant. The U.S. insists there are no new permanent combat deployments tied to this project. And technically that's true, but infrastructure speaks. When Washington funds repair capacity in Palawan, it's not just pouring concrete, it's reinforcing operational continuity. It's saying, you can't exhaust us that easily. Think about the sailors stationed aboard the Sierra Madre, rotating in and out, living inside a rusting ship deliberately grounded as a territorial marker. That ship is symbolic, yes, but the people inside it are real. Young men and women scanning the horizon for approaching vessels. For them, a nearby repair facility isn't abstract geopolitics. It means safer missions, quicker fixes, less time exposed. This move deepens U.S.-Philippine defense cooperation. It strengthens interoperability. It reinforces the alliance. But most importantly, it strengthens Manila's ability to stay present in its own waters. And in the South China Sea, presence is power. So here's the bigger question. Is this the quiet beginning of a longer-term logistical footprint in Western Palawan? Or simply the next smart step in helping the Philippines hold its ground? Either way, the board just shifted, and not a single new warship had to sail to make it happen. Let's talk specifics. The facilities will rise at Naval Detachment Oyster Bay in Ulagan Bay and in Quezon, Palawan. That's no coincidence. Oyster Bay is one of the most strategically positioned natural harbors facing the West Philippine Sea. Deep water, natural cover, and close enough to matter. Quezon is even nearer to the operational edge. These aren't flashy showpieces. They're designed for small craft. Rigid-hulled inflatable boats, assault boats, support vessels, even unmanned surface systems. Around 11.6 meters in length. Patrol craft scale. Fast, agile, tactical. Because let's be honest, the real friction in the South China Sea doesn't happen between destroyers trading missiles. It happens between small gray boats maneuvering within yards of each other. Coast Guard cutters, maritime militia vessels, patrol craft edging closer than anyone is comfortable with. That's where maintenance becomes strategy. Small boats take punishment, salt corrosion, engine strain, hull damage from aggressive maneuvers. If repairs take too long, operational tempo drops. When tempo drops, presence fades. And once presence fades, leverage follows. This wasn't improvised. U.S. naval engineering authorities issued structured design build solicitations in 2025. Public notices, institutional planning, not a reaction to one headline-grabbing incident. That detail matters. It tells us this is part of something longer, a deliberate effort to strengthen maritime sustainability in Western Palawan. Because here's the blunt truth. Logistics wins maritime contests more often than dramatic speeches do. You can have brave sailors, you can have strong rhetoric, but if your vessels can't stay at sea, you lose the rhythm. And in these waters, rhythm is everything. And now, that rhythm just got harder to break. You can have all the political will in the world, but if your engines fail, your hulls crack, and you're forced to sail days back for repairs, momentum disappears. Slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed, but it disappears all the same. That's exactly what changes with Oyster Bay and Quezon. Equipped to service RHIBs and similar craft, these new facilities shrink turnaround times. Boats get back on the water faster. Crews spend less time exposed on long transits. Maintenance becomes local, not a distant headache. It's not flashy, but it's durable. And in a sea where strategy often means wearing the other side down, durability can be the most powerful move of all. Let's strip it down. Why would Washington spend money on small boat repair hubs in Palawan? Why would Manila welcome them? Especially knowing Beijing is watching every move. Because this isn't about symbolism, it's about staying power. First, operational readiness. The Philippine Military Command in charge of Palawan and the West Philippine Sea doesn't just patrol. It endures friction, saltwater corrosion, engine strain, close quarters maneuvering during standoffs. Even minor hull damage can sideline a vessel for far longer than most people realize. Repairs done far from the operational zone, slow patrol tempo. Slow tempo means thinner presence. Thinner presence changes the narrative. These facilities cut that cycle. Shorter repairs equals faster turnaround. Faster turnaround equals more frequent patrols. More patrols equals sustained presence near flashpoints like Second Thomas Shoal. Logistics math, plain and simple. Not glamorous, but brutally effective. Tempo control is strategy. Second, burden sharing and capacity building. Look closely. This is not a new U.S. base stuffed with American destroyers. These facilities are for Philippine vessels, operated by Philippine crews, tailored to Philippine needs. That framing is huge. Washington talks a lot about a free, open, and resilient Indo-Pacific. Critics roll their eyes at the phrasing, but in practice, this is what it looks like. Infrastructure that lets a partner stand on its own feet. Not garrisoning, Not dominance, enabling. One signals control, the other reinforces. Right now, reinforcement is smarter. Third, deterrence, subtle but real. Not aircraft carriers cutting through contested waters. Quiet deterrence. Shared infrastructure creates interoperability. Maintenance standards, communication protocols, operational rhythms. That's alliance glue. And here's the balancing act. This strengthens the U.S.-Philippines partnership without forward deploying major combatants in Palawan. No permanent strike groups, no headline-grabbing escalation. It's firm, but calibrated. You could call it strategic patience. Either way, the goal is long-term, not short spectacle. Sustainment over flash, resilience over reaction. And in a region where pressure is constant but rarely explosive, that's exactly the point. Now look at the language. Nothing is accidental in geopolitics. The U.S. Embassy calls the Palawan facility support for a free and open Indo-Pacific. That's shorthand for rules-based order, freedom of navigation, alliance solidarity. Everyone in the region hears it loud and clear. Calm words, but firm intent. Philippine Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez has been clear. The U.S. is engaged. Alliance obligations are real. Manila will defend its maritime claims. It's a careful balancing act. Assert rights, avoid unnecessary escalation, stay anchored to the alliance. That balancing act is the story of Philippine foreign policy today. The sharpest line? From Jake Sullivan, speaking about Second Thomas Shoal, the U.S. will do what's necessary to ensure the Philippines can resupply a ship there. Public vessels in the South China Sea are covered. China understands the implications. Specific, direct. It references the grounded Sierra Madre, the exact flashpoint of repeated confrontations. It's reassurance wrapped in diplomacy, strategic ambiguity. No promises of dramatic intervention, but resolve is clear. Not chest-thumping, not theatrics, just steady reinforcement. The alliance is active. The Philippines won't stand alone. Resupply and sustainment are red lines. And here's where it hits home. Strategy in conference rooms sounds impressive. Out at sea, it's engines, fuel lines, cracked hulls, radio chatter, weather. Faster maintenance means higher sortie rates. If a RHIB takes damage, maybe from aggressive shadowing, maybe from rough seas, traveling far for repairs kills days, sometimes weeks. Crews wait, presence fades, momentum is lost. With Oyster Bay and Quezon, that stops. Turnarounds shrink, sorties increase, presence strengthens, tempo becomes a weapon. In short, this isn't just about boats. It's about endurance, control, staying power. And in the South China Sea, that quietly but decisively shifts the balance. Here's a polished, gripping, USA-style paraphrase of your script. Sharper, more anticipatory, and structured to keep the audience hooked. Missions delayed, boats idle, crews waiting. Now shrink that repair cycle. Suddenly, a vessel is back on the water in 24 to 48 hours instead of weeks. Multiply that across a fleet of patrol craft, and you're not just maintaining presence, you're increasing it. Higher sortie rates mean more patrols. More patrols mean more eyes on the water. More surveillance means fewer blind spots. And in contested waters, blind spots are dangerous. Here's the next layer: manned and unmanned integration. Easy to overlook, but huge. The contract specifically mentions support for unmanned surface vessels. That's no accident, it's future-proofing. Small autonomous platforms extend surveillance, operate in riskier areas, and reduce crew exposure. Picture this. Near Second Thomas Shoal, a Philippine patrol craft sends out a USV ahead of it. The USV gathers imagery, tracks movements, streams intel in real time. If tensions spike, commanders already have situational awareness before human crews get too close. Repairing and sustaining both manned and unmanned platforms locally normalizes that mixed operational model. It's no longer experimental, it becomes routine. And then there's the operational gap. For years, Philippine vessels have faced endurance disadvantages in the West Philippine Sea. Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia often outnumber, outlast, and shadow them. That persistence gives Beijing a subtle advantage. They can obstruct, linger, pressure. Forward logistics changes that. Philippine patrol craft can now operate consistently, cycle faster, and stay on station without long trips back for maintenance. The gap isn't gone, but it's narrower. And narrowing the gap reduces vulnerability to harassment. Maritime gray zone tactics rely on persistence, pressure through presence, long patrols, exhausting the other side. If Manila can match that, even incrementally, the psychological and operational dynamics shift. Slowly, quietly, no dramatic announcement, no headlines. But at sea, reliability equals credibility. And credibility, that's power. Zoom out. Palawan's new infrastructure doesn't just affect local operations. It sends ripples outward. Beijing's response is predictable. Cold War rhetoric, containment claims, warnings about foreign interference. Chinese state media is already framing even small repair hubs as creeping militarization. But here's the nuance. China doesn't escalate over every development. More likely, an uptick in gray zone tactics, tighter shadowing, maritime militia activity, louder protests, pressure without crossing a red line. Regional neighbors, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan, are watching too. None want overt militarization. Everyone prefers stability. Yet quietly, many are upgrading their own Coast Guard capacities, radar networks, and small vessel fleets. Logistics equals leverage. Domestically, the move lands well with defense circles and alliance advocates. It aligns with deeper integration under EDCA, signaling that Washington's commitments are real. But questions will come. Environmental concerns, local land use, sovereignty narratives. That's why the messaging matters. Philippine-owned, U.S.-assisted infrastructure enhancing national resilience. Legally, it fits within existing frameworks. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty covers armed attacks on Philippine forces, including Coast Guard vessels. These repair facilities don't rewrite treaties, they operationalize them. Under EDCA, U.S. forces can fund infrastructure upgrades on Philippine territory without permanent basing. That's logistics, not sovereignty compromise. Of course, risk remains. More small boat operations mean more close encounters. The West Philippine Sea is crowded. Collisions, miscalculations, gray zone retaliation, all possible. Mitigation? Clear joint SOPs, hotlines, refined rules of engagement. Boring, but necessary. Economic pushback is possible too. Trade inspections, informal sanctions, pressure on tourism. Countering that requires diplomacy, diversified trade, regional alignment. Transparency domestically matters as well. Community consultation, open procurement, environmental safeguards, these ensure public buy-in. Why does this matter? Look at Second Thomas Shoal. Resupply missions blocked, water cannons fired, ships rammed. Stretch logistics too thin, and every disruption becomes a crisis. EDCA upgrades since 2014. Runways, storage, ports have steadily improved resilience. Now it's the same playbook applied to small boats. And sometimes, small boats are where sovereignty is actually defended. RHIBs maneuvering meters from Chinese vessels, enforcing presence day after day. It sounds minor, a dock, a repair shed. But in reality, it's alliance logistics doctrine in action. Sustained presence without permanent basing, a middle path between escalation and retreat. Infrastructure tells a story, but the human side tells it best. The mechanics repairing engines at Oyster Bay, the crews running resupply missions. Every fuel pump, every hull repair, every sortie is a literal line between vulnerability and resilience. No carrier strike group, no treaty rewrite, just 2 repair facilities in Palawan. But in the South China Sea, power isn't won in a single battle. It's earned by showing up. Tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that. Consistency, reliability, presence. That's power.